to be in this final today,
Bullseye. So Madars has won
getting through the World Series qualifier yesterday, where he lost in the final match, he would have categorically said, give me the final here, because it is ranked money. This is really, really big for his season. It's a lot of cash, £6,000. But if he gets the 10, it could be life-changing for him.
Well, I think that point's backed up by the fact that, Paul, many players opted out of entering the World Series qualifier, deciding to focus on the 5 upcoming ranked events, and they wanted to
58.
Hit the ground running, which Razma has certainly done today. I can tell you, before play got underway, Razma was a 400-to-1 outsider to take this title.
59.
Some people may have put 20 pence on that, considering how strong he was yesterday and just fell at the final hurdle. But talking about season changing, Razma is now, as it stands, in a spot for the World Grand Prix. He's someone who has never played at the World Grand Prix. He's never played at the match play. This autumn series could change his life.
We have seen him in spells in these Pro Tour events have the odd really good game, have the odd
97.
match where he just seems to be, his darts seem to be magnets to the treble 20 and 19. But very rarely has he put it all together.
137.
In one day. We have seen him reach a final before in Dublin. A couple of years ago he lost to Max Hopp.
180.
He does tend to play his best darts in Northern Europe. If you look at all of the things that he has won in his career, they're all in Northern Europe, apart from one, which was in
25.
northern part of Europe, but more central. Wright looking very cool, calm and
Game
ready,
shot.
and takes a break of throw to start this match off. And Razma already knows that to beat the world champion, he's going to have the game of his life from here.
Is he beaten already, Paul?
Mentally, I'm not sure if Razma thinks he can beat Peter Wright when he's playing like this.
That reaction from losing the first leg was quite something to behold. Almost looked like he was going to offer him the hand and walk out of the cubicle.
133.
What he can't do, because Wright is going to offer nothing in the way of ammunition towards Razma. He's just going to do his thing, walk back. If Razma shows any
45.
emotion or any reactions in front of Peter and he sees it, that will just fuel the snakebite fire.
Well, Wright has been dominant against almost every opponent he's
59.
faced this afternoon. Dropped just 7 legs in getting to the semi-finals, including a 6-0 whitewash win against the league phase winner of the Premier League, Glenn Durrant. Michael van Gerwen then took 6 legs off him, but the resolve of Wright in that semi-final was something quite remarkable. Van Gerwen taking out 129 on the bull to break and force a last leg decider, but Wright just maintained
127.
a level of around 109 all the way through that match, and in the end it was good enough, and that's what Peter Wright's been doing for some time now.
Well, for me, this game plays into Peter Wright's hands because he's going to have to utilise maybe his best quality, and that is patience. Playing against MVG, he can just go and do his thing. He can play, but he's going to have more time to think in between visits against Razma than maybe anybody else he's played today.
Or you could forgive him for his average tumbling for this match, for seeing it as a much easier prospect than facing the world #1 in the semis. But credit to Peter Wright, the way he's playing, looks like he's intending to carry on where he left off.
18 first on the 118, but he does get the 60 on dart 2 to equalise, and these are the chances that he can't miss.
98.
How costly will that be when Wright is on something like 74? You would expect the world champ to take this. Definitely now. He's just so accurate. 88.
Game shot.
Case in point right there. That shot at tops. If he gets another one of those, he misses, Peter Wright hits.
. 140.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the start of this match, both players involved in very dramatic semi-finals. Just a word on Devon Peterson, Paul, because surely he's going to take that next step sometime very soon, maybe even this week.
Well, I was talking about Devon Peterson a few days ago, and I said that if he had
55.
a slow start to the autumn series, he would continually get better. Now that he's had a very decent start, I think he's going to trouble a title here now, because he will be more hungry for it after
91.
losing in that semi-final. He's that kind of person. He will be more driven now than he was before that semi-final.
He's a very optimistic and positive guy, isn't he, Devon Peterson? And I wouldn't expect he'd be the kind of player who would start thinking about, oh, I keep losing in semi-finals, because that can really affect you and become a self-fulfilling prophecy, can't it?
No, he'll just keep knocking on the door until it falls down.
105.
Razma for the 167. Has to go for it. You can't leave Snakey on a 170. He's already taken one today against Glen Durrant in the quarters.
Yeah, took it when he didn't even have
81.
to take it, Peter Wright. A party piece in the final.
That is perfect. But just look at Peter Wright's reaction. There was a lot of players playing today, and I think the majority of them would have been very upset by missing that second treble. Peter Wright is showing no sign of anxiety or anger. Bullseye for Razma. Another
38.
chance missed when Wright is on a two-darter. This can't keep happening.
.51 left here. Probably 19 for double 16. I'm not sure he's decided yet. He has now. Double 16.
Game shot.
There it is. Right choice. Right outcome. Wright leads 3-0.
There's a pattern emerging here. And there's also been a pattern emerging in the rankings, Murph. Just going to touch on something quite important, I feel, at this stage of the season.
57.
Simon Whitlock made his way to the World Match Play and did some quite incredible things by coming through round one against Ryan Joyce, a
98.
PDC winner of the previous week, and then taking out the world number one. But his place at Coventry for the World Grand Prix is now very, very precarious. He
59.
is now 17th in the world, over £10,000 away from the next person, who is Adrian Lewis. But in the Pro Tour Order of Merit, he is way, way down. Whitlock may miss the Grand Prix for the first time
40.
in almost a decade next month.
Yeah, I think the absence of the European Tour has been a problem for Simon Whitlock, because that was where he was doing most of his damage
60.
last year. Hasn't reached a quarter-final on the Pro Tour for about 2 years, Simon Whitlock.
Another person outside of
56.
World Grand Prix as it stands. So these players need to get their skates on. And I'm astounded to read this. Johnny Clayton, outside of the top 16 of the world, outside of the top 16 qualifiers, the way that the ranking system has almost taken people's points away from them without the ability to defend, it has bitten those two more than anyone, I think.
It'll be interesting to see how that develops over the course of the week. We'll have a
99.
fuller picture come Wednesday. Of course, there is another event, a European Tour event, scheduled to take place before the cut-off for the World Grand Prix.
58.
I'm going to ask you another question about rankings, Paul. Do you think that it's possible in the next 12 months that Peter Wright could get to
96.
the top?
Yes. The way he's playing, I think you have to say yes. Razma, again, for the third leg in a row, is ahead on the score going into the finish. What does Wright leave?
105.
He leaves 65, which he's just taken. And if Razma gets the treble on darts 1 or 2, he cannot, or now, he can't go anywhere near that, unless he hits the left side. Chance missed,
52.
and Wright into pounce. This is just how he does things.
They had to correct a loose first start, so he'll be looking to put that right. And he does, to earn himself 2 at tops.
Game shot.
Tops he takes, and Peter Wright races into a 4-0 lead in the final. And we said after the very first leg, when Madars Razma walked into the corner looking very disappointed,
133.
it looked like he was beat before a dart was even thrown, and it might be turning out to be the case here. Was that his final against Devon Peterson?
Judging by the way he played and the way he reacted at the end, it may have been.
140.
But Wright looks at ease. He doesn't look out of place. He doesn't
128.
look troubled. But then again, he hasn't looked troubled since the restart. The Summer Series, he looked at ease with everything in his game. The Premier League, he looked the best player and was putting in some of the best statistics.
37.
Today, he looks so relaxed, it's not even funny.
Sets himself these mini targets, Peter Wright, and one of them is to win the Autumn Series Order of Merit. He's quite proud of having won the Order of Merit of the first Summer Series, and he wants to show in every little run of events that he's the
100.
best.
Well, if he is to take that #1 ranking at some point in the next year or year and a half maybe, today would help that.
Game
as
shot.
he finds his first leg of the contest, Madars Razma on a 1-1-3, and no sign of a celebration there. It's almost relief that he's found himself a shot on the outer ring, and that might relax him a lot. Could be a different match from here.
Yeah, it can happen. He's just grinning a little bit in the background. Can happen when a
57.
player almost gives up and then gets better through that relaxation that comes with it. You were never that kind of player, were you, Paul? Very tenacious and never want to throw the towel in. Very intense on stage.
Just a bit. That's why I've got grey hair at the age of 41. I covered those up for a few years,
59.
courtesy of Joanna Wright. She used to do my hair and my hair date.
I remember a green and gold look going on at one stage.
That was Simon's idea.
95.
He called it wall paint.
If you're going to take hairstyling advice off Simon Whitlock, I think you're going to find yourself in trouble anyway.
Well, there was
41.
a song created by the German audience at a European tour, and it went, "Du hast die Haare schön."
No, that won't do, Paul. Give us a few bars.
No,
80.
it means you have beautiful hair. And that was sung a lot by the German audiences at European tours to Peter Wright, but it was originally sung to Simon Whitlock. So they're definitely the two when it comes to the best hairdos.
Certainly got their own images. And that's all part of the game these days. It's a way
60.
of winning fans. You also have to back it up with darts, and they're two players who have done that in different spells in their career. Peter Wright enjoying his best spell right now. And
95.
it's likely that he will go on and win this title, but perhaps the most significant win is the one in the semis against MVG. Because over the last year, that takes the head-to-head between the pair to 4 apiece, and it just goes to
56.
strengthen the point that you've made throughout the day, Paul, that the elites are more closely bunched together now than perhaps they've ever been.
Correct. Well, this is not bunched.
77.
Razma may have to take this 1-5-4 if he stands any chance in this final, which is first to 8. I'm not surprised he went to the 19s there. That is his comfort zone, as we've seen on the stream board today. But you don't envisage Wright missing 32.
Game shot.
And he doesn't. Oh, how he wishes he'd hit that 8-8 in the 2017 Premier League final, but he is not thinking about that right now. He may think about it if he lands on it in a Premier League final in a few weeks' time, but you have to be honest.
121.
Wright will be favourite going into that night. Is that correct?
Has to be. Peter Wright's level of excellence and the consistent level of excellence is up there.
125.
Van Gerwen's produced, with the stuff that Taylor's produced. Obviously, he's not done it for as long as either of those players yet, but he has certainly gone up a level
42.
in the last 12 months.
He's gone up many, many levels since taking his first PDC Pro Tour title in 2012. That was in Ireland. Since then,
81.
he has picked up titles every year and has constantly evolved into the product that we have in front of us right here.
It's the mentality of the man that I think is
56.
remarkable. When he lost that Premier League final that you just alluded to, Paul, he went to Milton Keynes and won the very next Pro Tour just a couple of days later. And we've seen how he bounced back from those final defeats against Michael Van Gerwen to beat him in the World Championship on New Year's Day this year.
A lot of players in that position
88.
would have not even gone to Milton Keynes. They would have been so heartbroken at missing that shot for such a huge title that they would have wanted a break.
137.
But that's not what Wright's about. He's about playing as many events as possible, and he has alluded to some people in interviews that he might play a little less over the course of the next 18 months because of that World Championship money in the bank.
Yeah, many might not have gone. Others may have folded and disappeared. Look at many other players who've reached World Finals or Major Finals and never got the chance again. Right here, wants double 12.
Game shot.
To lead 6-1. And Razma, well, he's been resigned to defeat for much of the match, but he's looking more and more resigned, Paul.
Just a bit. And Peter Wright has not had to bring his A game to this one. He's just had to be
20.
efficient. Gets himself a Robin Hood there, so a little bit of a chuckle from both players. That does happen now and again.
Have to give credit
59.
where it's due to Madars Razma, has beaten a good list of names to get to this final. Starting with that win against Steve Lennon, Dirk van Dijvenbode, Ian White, defying 107 average from Diamond White.
180.
Pavel Sedlacek, Jelle Klaassen in that match against Devon Peterson where he got over the line. Peter Wright rattles in another maximum. That is 26 for the
60.
afternoon.
I think this run for Razma, and I'm not writing him off yet by any means, but I think this run will be good for his darts fitness for the rest of the week. It'll make playing long days even easier, but that's something that Peter Wright is very, very used to. That's why you tend to find the likes of Ratajski and Durrant and MVG and all those guys constantly doing well in long tournament formats like this.
121.
They're used to this. They have great darts fitness. But you just get the feeling that Razma has hit the wall, averaging 83 in this final.
96.
It's going to end up being Peter Wright's purest average, but he's become very, very good at doing what he needs to do, hasn't he, Peter Wright? Saw how he upped it for Durrant and then even more for Van Gerwen. And he's right on the money here. Dominance in cruise control.
Game shot.
And now one leg away from another title.
There is nobody in World Darts who was better at that shot right there. The step to the right, whether it's to hit a treble 20 to leave a finish or a double on the left side of the board from the right angle of the oche. For me, it used to be Mervyn King from that angle, and he's still very good at it, but Peter's already talked about how much Mervyn has taught him through the years that they've known each other. Well, 25, 26 years they've known each other.
43.
But he is now the #1 at that shot, and it has proved to be very vital in his success.
$95.
Well, those of you who were watching over on stream 2 at the very beginning of the day will know that I asked Paul Nicholson a little question. 5 names to watch out for.
59.
He offered a couple of unlikely ones, a couple of outsiders, and we'll see how they progress over the course of the week. But this will be one tick off the list, Paul, if Wright gets the job done.
Well, this is the easiest one, right?
174.
Oh, well, that's a great switch. Takes himself 100 in front. And Razma surely has to get all three.
120.
Oh, that's a disaster. Leaves a bogey number, and Wright's got 6 from 189 to seal the deal. It's going to go south on dart 3, surely.
92.
With ease. Leaves himself 97 for the tournament on a shot that, ironically, Razma bust in the semi-final.
104.
Razma handy just in case. Finds the double 19.
Game shot
And the